The views, opinions and information expressed during Youth Services podcast series are solely those of individuals involved. Any recommendations or advice during the podcast is general in nature and does not replace the need to seek professional advice. If you are in need of urgent assistance, please call 000 or the Kids Helpline on 1800 55 1800. Welcome to our KC Youth Services podcast. I am Ellie.
And I'm Taryn.
And we are youth workers for the City of Casey. And we are super excited to be chatting with Ashvina, the founder of Cook for Cold.
Hi.
So just to get started, just to get into it, do you prefer to be called Ash or Ashvina?
It is fine. Ash is
okay.
Easy. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So Ash, what is something that you like to do for fun?
For fun, I love dancing. I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. And so now that I'm older, and obviously it's not much of a competitive environment anymore, I try and do as many casual classes as I can in my spare time. Yeah.
That's awesome. What type of dancing?
Right now I'm doing only hip-hop, and I've been doing hip-hop just hip-hop for the last few years, I think, but originally trained in ballet, tap, jazz, all that.
Wow, that's so cool.
That is really cool, Taryn. I knew you'd like that.
I love dancing too.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
Yes. So, Ash, I just wanted to ask, what is Cook for Cold? If you could give us a little bit of a background on what it is.
So Cook for Cold is a now not-for-profit organisation. We primarily run within the City of Casey region as well as the surrounding suburbs. It's a food delivery program, I guess, which is completely run by youth volunteers, which I'd originally just recruited off Instagram. It was very informal, very planned to an extent, but I've never done something like this, and there's no real handbook on how to do it. So it ended up being very good. We feed the cultural and linguistically diverse community primarily, but there's no real exclusivity to it. There's no eligibility criteria because, especially after COVID, everyone had their own struggles. And if we can provide one meal a week to a family, that was from the feedback, apparently that did a lot for a lot of people. So yeah, it was really nice, and we were able to average about 80 meals a week with our small team of youth volunteers, and we were completely funded through community donations, which I think was really cool too, because even if you couldn't contribute volunteering in the kitchen, you could contribute financially if you're in a position to. So it was nice to get everyone involved and get it going.
That's so awesome. And it's great that you've also been able to give, young people that opportunity to be volunteer, and being a young person yourself, to be the founder of this. It's just amazing. I love it. We're all here for it. So
thank you.
Great work.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it was a lot of fun as well. And a lot of the volunteers were friends or people I knew, but a lot of them also were just people who saw the call out on Instagram and wanted to get involved. So it was really cool to see how much youth are willing to volunteer and help the community and give their time to the community, but they've never really seen the opportunity to do that in a convenient way.
Yes.
But yeah, it was really cool to get that feedback from a lot of the volunteers, because that just means that we can be bigger. There's more people who are willing to volunteer. They just didn't know how to do it before now.
That's so awesome. There's always room to grow, isn't there?
Always, yeah. Always ways to improve, always ways to help people in bigger ways, but got to start from somewhere.
So exciting. Awesome work.
Taryn and I met you a couple of weeks ago, and we were very inspired by what you do. And obviously that's why we've got you on the podcast, because we want to share all the amazing things that you are doing for the community. So thank you again. I know we'll say thank you a lot of times throughout this podcast, but thank you again for sharing.
No, thank you for giving me even the opportunity to talk about it. Our entire operation's run by word of mouth essentially at this point. So getting these opportunities to spread where the help is required is awesome, and I really appreciate it.
What initially sparked your passion to start Cook for Cold?
So initially, it's like going back about 2-3 years when I was in uni. I was in a class where I studied health sciences, and my specific majors were family societal health as well as disability and inclusion. So within the family societal health realm, it was a lot of trying to figure out within the Victorian community where the gaps are for where people need support. And one of those being the cold community. And I would always try to pick things within the city of Casey because that's where I was born and raised. And I couldn't, for this specific assignment, we had to figure out a gap in the community where support could be very much needed. And growing up in the city of Casey, it is a hot pot of culture. Like, I know I think I could probably name someone from every continent, probably majority of the major countries. Like, I know there are so many different ethnicities within the city of Casey, and I just couldn't understand how such a big community was so disregarded. In regards to like healthcare as well as equality and just raising awareness of the issues the cold community faces, especially now, like in this time where migration and stuff is so prominent, but it has been for so long. And even with us being neighbours with city of Dandenong, where Dandenong is a refugee welcome zone. So it just didn't make sense to have such a big gap in supports when that's such a big thing for the city of Casey. So through COVID, I guess I had nothing really to do, as most people did. I finished uni in June, and I was just I didn't have work for the second half of the year through lockdown, and I just was like, I could probably start planning something. Like, I've always wanted to do something, but I've never had the time to do it. I've always been the type of person to work like 3 jobs and never give myself time to rest. So having this time of nothing was kind of like, I could start something else to make myself busy again. So I started looking into, how I could help the cold community, because it has a special place in my heart where my parents are migrants, my grandparents are migrants, like all my friends have parents that are migrants, if not them, who have migrated from different countries to Australia. So, it just didn't make sense to me that we could just ignore this entire population within our very local and very connected community. So I chose food, so Cook for Cold being food-based, because food is something that's celebrated in every occasion by every culture, and it's something that you can kind of express and symbolize the cultures in a dish. Like, you can figure out, like, just say, for instance, if you think of a curry, you'll think of South Asian cuisine. If you think of all the Asian foods, you know exactly where they came from. Like, everyone knows it, everyone appreciates it, everyone celebrates it, and no one's not gonna want food. So I started with, thinking, okay, that's the best way we can get to every culture. And then my other thing of being a disability inclusion major and now a disability support coordinator, accessibility is really important to me. And so had to think of all the dietary requirements, like everything had to be halal so everyone can eat it, and making sure there's always vegetarian, vegan options, and, making sure that everyone's able to access this, because what is the point of doing this if we're not going to do it right? And what's the point of doing it if not everyone can access it? Yeah, and that's why we made it free, obviously, because a lot of people can't afford to pay for something that's sustainably packaged, home cooked, and freshly delivered for free. So I made sure to do all the research into thinking, how can we make this work? And so with a couple of friends, came up with how we can build it up, how we can get volunteers cleared to work, which is just through a little food safety certificate, get some interviews going, making sure they know the passion that is behind this and getting them involved in it. Then it just, the pieces slowly came together and we had a 10-week program.
It definitely shows that your hard work pays off. And I think you are educating people within the city of Casey as well about the whole world and who's involved in it, and kind of bringing that equality back in as well. So we thank you for that. And also, I need to go back to what you said before. It's like a hot pot. That is the best expression I've ever heard because it's so true.
Yeah. Right?
That was awesome. I've never heard of that before. I'm going to use it.
Casey is very much a hot pot where you can pick and choose from different cultures and it's all there, but no one really is there to support where that came from. So that's where, you know, like you go to any place in the city of Casey, you'll see about 10 different ethnicities. Like, it's just a given.
Exactly, and I think that's why I do love the city of Casey so much, because we are so diverse, and the community within, and you learn so much from one another.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think a lot of whenever I do projects in uni about the city of Casey, it would stem from like my friends and their families, and how much I knew about them from like primary school, and like learning about different cultures by going to your friend's house after school and stuff like that. The cold community is so prominent, and it needs to be, one, celebrated, but also supported. That's
so inspiring, and really love your heart towards community and bringing about social change, sort of putting the unity in community. And by what better way than food? It's a universal love language, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That is, exactly it. Universal love language, 100%. If anyone gave me food, I'd be very happy.
Me too.
Same. So Ash, what is the ideal outcomes of running Cook for Cold? What is your main vision or goal?
Honestly, when I first started this, I had no idea that it would get the hype that it did. So I hadn't even thought about it until recently, about where this could potentially go. Like, when I started this, I thought it would be a little, like, you know, maybe a home kitchen with like few friends. We go hand it out wherever we could. But now the fact that it had gone to a community kitchen, we had 55 volunteers, both cooking and delivering. And now that we have kind of a voice within the community where people recognize us a bit more, I've had to think about it, whereas I never thought it would get to this point. But the ideal outcome would be mainly just being able to be a support system, like a permanent support system for the cold community, and also being a voice for the cold community where we have the power to, you know, raise the voices of those who aren't heard otherwise. I would love for us to be a place where people can come for support for not only food, but also collaborate with other small businesses and not-for-profits in the city of Casey to rise and become more collaborative and more holistic in our support to the cold community, because the support is needed. It's just trying to figure out how best to get it out there and how efficiently to get it out there, because things cost money, and being a fully funded donated service is hard. But hopefully the goal is to be able to be recognised as a support service for the cold community specifically, because although we're not exclusive with who we service, I want to be exclusively pushing the voices of the cold community, because there isn't any support there at this time. Well, if there is, it's not really voiced that much, enough for me to research anyway. So I would love to be known for that. And in regards to everything else, I feel like everything else will fall in place after getting to that point.
Yeah, definitely. And the impact of Cook for Cold is so evident, and it's only going to grow from here. The fact you're wanting to amplify the voice of the cold community and give them that platform, I feel like it's really powerful, and at your age especially. So really exciting to see what's to come.
Talking about what's to come, do you have any events planned for the future?
So we do. My executive team and I are always planning because right now, being a completely funded off donations service, we're trying to figure out ways that we can do fundraisers and host different things to try get our summer program back up and running by the time it gets back to summer. And right now we're in the works of trying to create a support marketplace where the vision right now is to have a venue full of services that can help the cold community in a holistic way. So kind of what I want my end goal to be as Cook for Cold, but right now just as a literal physical site where people can come to get either financial help, legal aid, domestic violence assistance, food from Cook for Cold, everything that you could probably think of that could support the cold community. I want it to be in one space for a weekend where it's promoted as a family-friendly service, so people who don't even need support can come and learn about how they can support the community as well. And we're hoping for that to be in June sometime, but it's in the works, so hopefully can run through Refugee Week. But that's the current thing. Everything else you'll have to keep up with our Instagram to keep up with the updates. But that's the plan, and I hope, hopefully it's something that everyone is able to come and support to show how we can unite to amplify the voices of the cold community and show our support for how the cold community is important to us and diversity is important, and we need to give them a place of support where they can also raise their voices.
I definitely think that will be such an amazing space, and especially all being in the one space. I do want to let you know, though, if you do need any assistance with resources or anything like that, we do provide information out to the young people as well. So we've got some services. If you need any help, come down to the youth centre and we can give you some pamphlets and kind of assist you on that process if you'd like.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much. I'll take any support that I can get. I'm really doing all of this on, with my team. We are all just kind of doing this that'd be a good idea.
But you know what? There's no such thing as a bad idea. And the fact that you and your team are always thinking, it's only ever going to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
So it's awesome.
That's what I try to encourage them to think, no matter how impossible it may seem, it seemed impossible to run a 10-week program on a whim, but we did it.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't know if you don't try.
Exactly that. Yeah, shoot your shot.
Exactly. Talking about your food, what is your most requested and raved meal?
Oh my God, honestly, all of them. But I think probably the winner was when we did a butter chicken and shai paneer meal with roti and dal.
I love dal.
It was a full-on day. That was probably the most stressed I've ever been in the kitchen, because we had 4 things going: the dal itself, the roti, and then the shai paneer, which was the vegetarian option, and the butter chicken. And we were averaging at 12 volunteers per session. So 12 volunteers divided between 4 meals and packing and labeling. It was a mess, but I honestly think it was our most delicious meal. And the feedback we got from the people who were getting the orders was I've never even tasted food like this before. So it's ended up being really good, but it was insane. I think everyone was just yelling at each other, but in a fun way. Didn't know who had started what, and everything has to go through a type of operations line. When you've got 4 things going, it's a bit hard in a little kitchen.
You'll have to channel some Gordon Ramsay vibes.
Oh yeah, it was a light-hearted Gordon Ramsay type of situation.
For anyone that actually wants to help Ash, it's not going to be like Gordon Ramsay. It's okay.
Oh, no. It's definitely, it is very much a very chill and comforting place. And a lot of the volunteers actually said that they've taken these cooking skills home. A lot of them weren't cooking before this, but now that they know how to and know that it's actually pretty easy once you put your mind to it and follow a recipe card, it's actually pretty easy to make a good meal. And all this stuff that we made wasn't too difficult. The only thing that was difficult was probably doing the vegetarian and the meat options at separate times, and just trying to get a streamline going, because obviously we're not a kitchen. We're just volunteers, very young, inexperienced volunteers who sometimes get in over their heads when it comes to trying to do a streamline, but we made it work. And I always tried every week there was a head chef and a COVID marshal as well. So COVID marshal would make sure hygiene's in check, and head chef wouldn't do any of the cooking, but make sure that everything's going in order. And then, the rest of the volunteers would just be going at it, prep, cooking, packing, and off it goes with the delivery drivers. So it did get pretty crazy, but it was so much fun. I think all my volunteers can vouch that. I hope all my volunteers can vouch that it was a fun time. Yeah, like we had 55 volunteers through the summer, and they were all under 25. One weekend we were actually the butter chicken weekend. We were pretty slammed, so I had to get my boyfriend's parents to come in because they're both Indian, Fijian Indians, so they have the experience with the rotis and the butter chicken. So we got some help there, but other than that, we ran pretty smooth.
It definitely sounds like it's a friend and family safe environment.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We try to pump some tunes as well to get everyone on the same type of vibe, make it a bit of a party while being safe, of course. But yeah, it was a lot of
Just
fun.
to add that in there.
Love that. And it seems like you've got a really awesome team of volunteers there helping you, Ash.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of them had the same passion as I did. And so that made it easier and smoother because everyone knew that these meals were going to people who needed them. And they were so tasty. Like, wow, they were incredible. If we had a little bit left over, everyone would fly to the pot to try it out. So
I can't wait to try it.
Yeah, we did hear some good reviews from our colleagues that attended the Harmony Day event, and they said that the food was a chef's kiss, amazing.
Yeah, and that was just a mee goreng. Like, that was probably one of our easier recipes, but yeah, it was like a gourmet mee goreng.
I love that. You're making me hungry now.
Yeah, I can smell it.
Oh, so, man, should have smelt the kitchen every week. Like, you can't walk out of there without some sort of, like, you feel exhausted, but you feel so hungry after it's all done.
I don't know if you'd walk out with any food. Oh, you probably have to roll me out.
So if somebody wanted to get involved, Ash, how would they do that?
Yeah, so we have Instagram at Cook for Cald, and we also have Facebook, which is just Cook for Cald page as well. But we also have a website, which is currently in construction again because we've kind of moved past the summer program theme. But we have the website, which actually has an expressions of interest section. And then that comes straight to our email. And then I have a volunteer coordinator who actually streamlines through all that. And we go through a little bit of an interview process to like make sure that the passion is there and that the eligibility is there, because right now I do want to keep it youth-based because youth are the ones who need these opportunities to grow and to have their voices heard. A lot of the volunteers are actually from migrant families as well. And so I want to keep that for now as exclusive as I can with the age under 25 generally. But, you know, that can expand the bigger we get, obviously. Like everyone who wants to help, I want to give them the opportunity to help. But for the time being, I want to keep this as youth-based as possible. So, yeah, it would just be a small process of an interview, a bit of a chat, a few checks, and yeah, a contract, you're ready to go.
That's so awesome. So admire your passion, Ash.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I can't wait to see where Cook for Cold goes from here.
Yeah, me too.
I guess we can wrap up now, but we cannot thank you enough for being a part of this episode. Anyone in the City of Casey area that is interested in Cook for Cald, all information will be in the description below. So I'll add your Instagram, your Facebook and your website, and then you can chat to Ash if you need any assistance. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Have a good day and be safe.